I've heard it said that people come into our lives for a reason. Now, you might know this wicked quote, but it is especially important right now. So I met Rabbi Amachai last night at Yom Kippur services for Kol Nidre, and he changed my life for good. Let me tell you why. Because I am very proud to be Jewish. I love Wicked, as you know, but it has been a really difficult time to combine my love for being Jewish and exactly how I'm feeling right now about this global crisis we're having. We're obviously having a crisis at home with the fascism and dictatorship, but we are having a major crisis, of course, with the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. And right now, with the rise of anti-Semitism and what happened on October 7th, of course we want to bring the captives home. We want to make everyone safe, but that is not an excuse for the genocide that is happening in Palestine. Now, how does this have anything to do with Wicked? Because in Wicked, Elphaba stands up for those who don't have a voice or whose voices are actively being silenced. And I feel like everything that we've been hearing or not hearing recently about Gaza because they are being silenced, it is important to use our platforms for good. We always think about what would we do in this situation? If I was living during the Civil Rights era, well, it's happening right now. Hearing the sermon last night about building new bridges and speaking up about what's wrong and what's right. What I think was really important yesterday is hearing from a rabbi who's from Israel and who's a drag queen slave. We love to see it. There's actually a documentary about him, Rabbi Amachai from Rab Shul. Amazing. So he spoke about the genocide in a way that I've never heard a rabbi talk about so openly and honestly, especially at a Yom Kippur Kol Nidre service. And it was really powerful. I was very emotional last night. It's also the yard site of Gavin Creel's passing, and that hit really hard. I wear my bracelet that says both, which is what he used to have on his dresser, because things are both good and bad. You can be both so happy to be in a show or be invited to all these events and really devastated about things, or in my case, really excited about all these events coming up, and also not having as much funding for housing and other essential needs as I would like. I think in the past I haven't spoken up as much about this specific crisis because I was nervous about losing housing, and that's an issue I can talk about at another time. I want to say specifically that all my views are my own, and that I'm very proud to be Jewish and very much want to state that being Jewish and what the Israeli government does are two completely different things. Just like you probably don't agree with what this government is doing, and fuck ICE directly. Come on, they suck. And it's not okay what is happening in our own country is also not okay what is happening in Israel and Palestine. I think the way that Elphaba stands up is inspirational. And yes, okay, she's a fictional figure, right? But Elphaba in my head has always been Jewish and a person of color, which also makes sense for Idina Menzel and the creators of Wicked, Seema Schwartz, Winnie being Jewish, and Cynthia Erivo being Elphaba in the movie. So I think it's important that we use our platforms for good and speak up about these things. I also want to say the Hamilton of it all, if you stand for nothing, what will you fall for? In this day of forgiveness, can you imagine? I'm asking for forgiveness for anything I've done wrong and for not using my platform for speaking up the way that I wish I had before, but I'm using it now because it's never too late to do the right thing, and you want to be on the right side of history. So what I think hit me so hard last night is that, and also my hair kind of looks like a mop right now, but you know what? There are more important things happening. What I think was the most important thing that happened yesterday for me was that I have been feeling deeply disconnected with my Jewish community recently because I'm proud to be Jewish, but I do not agree with a lot of the stances happening about what is happening in Israel and Palestine. And I felt yesterday for the first time in a long time a group of people who share my Jewish identity, also speaking up for what is right. And that was really powerful for me. It hit me deeply hard. I was crying a lot last night. It's also been a few years since my grandma passed away, and that her yard site's coming up, and that was really tough for me. But I just, if you're Jewish out there, or really anyone, and you've been feeling alone in how you feel about anything, but especially this conflict with Israel and Palestine, you can think both, yeah, Jews are awesome, we love Jewish people, and also what the Israeli government is doing right now is awful and is genocide. And those are both true. And the rise of anti-Semitism doesn't excuse the people's discussion of what is happening right now. None of it excuses anything, because honestly, the Judaism I grew up with was never again. And never again means for anyone, not just if they're Jewish, not just if they look like you. Never again is a blanket for nobody, and never again is a term that a lot of people have used for the Holocaust that I heard growing up. And I think that's really important to state right now, because how can we keep saying never again, but then have what's happening in Palestine right now? The math isn't mathing, and it is time to speak up. I wish I had spoken up on this platform earlier, but like I said, I was afraid for my housing, and I've just decided on this Day of Atonement on Yom Kippur that I cannot stay silent anymore, and I must speak up, because what is the point of having a platform if not to speak up for the really important things? And also, I did make a video a while ago when I first saw Rachel Zegler starring in Snow White, because hear me out, Rachel Zegler, very pro-Palestine, of course, her famous and always remember Free Palestine, or whatever that tweet was, and I always thought when I saw the movie how unique of an experience it was watching Rachel Zegler with like the people up against the evil queen Gal Gadot, who has famously served in the Israeli government in the IDF. And while I know Gal has spoken up about like her neighbors and making sure everyone's okay, like she has also defended the Israeli government and their actions in the military. And I thought that that juxtaposition of Snow White versus the evil queen played out on screen was fascinating and very much a signal of our time. And as for Wicked, it's like happening right now, like the evil wizard happening right now in our country. We cannot allow all these people just to be taken from our country. And what are people doing? And you know, what was fascinating is Mamdani was at my Yom Kippur service last night. Mamdani, Mamdani. I mean, that song has been like stuck in my head. Mamdani is an icon. He was in the front row. I didn't get a chance to say hi because obviously everyone wanted to say hi. But how special was that to have Mamdani at my Yom Kippur services? This is the future we want. We must start building bridges. I really, really hope that Mamdani gets elected. If you have an opportunity to vote for him, please do. This is a change for good that we need. I'm happy to have a conversation with anyone who might have some questions or thoughts, but I just want to say, if you are like me and you're Jewish and you've been feeling very isolated from your Jewish community because you believe strongly in Free Palestine, I'm here for you and you are not alone. Let's change for good. See you at the show. Something else that has been really resonating with me is how Elphaba speaks out against injustice, even when those who are closest with her and those who she's trusted are gaslighting her into just be silent and go with the process. She's loved the wizard her whole life long, but she believes in what she's doing is right. And so, I mean, get ready for no good deed. I won't have any spoilers. But even from the trailer, you saw the moment where Glinda's like, well, who could ever give up this life? And Pharaoh's like, you know who could and who has. Because Elphaba decided to give up this position of power. The wizard promised her everything that she's dreamed of, but in return for going against her beliefs. And she couldn't do that. And I think that's what's inspiring me right now on this Yom Kippur, in this time of reflection and atonement, is like, I can no longer have a platform that can get me amazing things, like hopefully the Wicked premiere. But what is the Wicked premiere if I also am not using my platform for good. See you at the show.